continuing with the series on human resource management. In the previous couple of lectures, we learnt about recruitment and selection, that how employees are recruited in the organization and how they are selected and they are further oriented and placed into their respective jobs. So moving further, when the employee is now working in the organization and due to the changing scenario, technological advancements, every employee needs to be trained. So that brings us to the next category of the human resource functions that we were talking about, recruitment and selection being one. So moving further, we will learn about training and development. So friends, training and development has always been identified as one of the vital human resource functions. And because of the cutthroat competition, where today's skilled manpower is important aspect to gain even competitive advantage. So training and development acts as an important tool for the success of any organization. Also, as rapid changes in technology are de-skilling the employees very quickly, many organizations have now understood the importance of training, and they have now fixed certain amount of training hours per year for their employees. And in most of the organizations today, training has become an integral part of the human resource development activity. So what we are going to learn in today's lecture is that what is training and how it's different from development. We have often been using training and development in a synonymous form, but training is different from development. So first and foremost, we are going to learn that what is training and how it is different from development. Then we will learn about the objectives of training and development, what is the need and what is the importance of training and development. Then the next learning outcome is going to be that what factors affect the success of training. Once you design your training program and you start training your people, but most of the times what happens is that training becomes irrelevant or it does not give the outcomes that were intended. So what are those factors that affect the success of any training program? And lastly, we will try to learn about that why is training and development so important that even it is considered to be granting competitive advantage to a firm or an organization. So firms that are using training and development, are incorporating training and development, they are the ones who stand apart. They are the ones who are competitively advantageous position. So friends, training and development is one of the most important functions of human resource management in any of the organizations. And the objective is to enhance employees' skills, behaviors and expertise by putting them into learning new techniques of doing the work. Also, it is a continuous process of improving the skills, gaining knowledge, clarifying concepts and changing attitude through structured and planned education by which the productivity and performance of employees can be enhanced. So, one of the most sought after outcome of any training program is to increase the productivity and performance of the employees, which will ultimately lead to the enhanced productivity and performance of the organization. But for it, a continuous process must be undertaken so that the skills, the knowledge and the concepts, attitudes of the employees can be changed, can be altered and they can be aligned more into what is happening or what are the requirements of the environment. Now, what is training? So, we are going to understand what is training through the definitions of some researchers. So, according to Armstrong, training is a formal and systematic modification of behavior through learning which occurs as a result of education, instruction, development and planned experience. Now here you must be surprised to see the word development, but initially we said that training and development are different. Yes, that's true, but development is also an integral part of training, because ultimately when you are trained you are developed also. And the second aspect of this definition that needs to be highlighted is that it is a systematic modification of behavior. Any training program will further lead to the modification of your behavior. That is the objective of every training. So, the next definition by Katz and Kahn states that it is described as a maintenance subsystem which is intended to improve organizational efficiency by increasing the routinization and predictability of behavior. So, here again the emphasis is on behavior, and through behavior how we can improve the organization's efficiency, because training is the maintenance subsystem. Now, that was about training. Now, let us learn what is development. So, development is improving individual performance in their present roles and preparing them for greater responsibilities in the future. And development is concerned with the growth of employees in all respects. So, whereas training is limited to particular skill only, but when we say development, it means that we are considering all the aspects or the holistic development of an individual and not just a knowledge or a skill based aspect. Also, development is the process by which managers or executives, they acquire skills and competencies in their present jobs and capabilities for the future tasks. And the purpose of every development program is imparting advanced knowledge and competencies among employees. So, generally used in relation to managers or executives. So, when we say training, training is normally done for the for all levels of employees, but when we say development, it is generally used in relation to the managers or executive levels. Now, this slide shows as to what is the difference between training and development. So, this is a tabular depiction of the difference between these two terms. So, you can clearly see that training is a short term process, whereas development is a long term process. So, training is limited to just teaching you a particular skill or giving you the knowledge about a particular job. So, that is why it is short term. It may be a 2 weeks program or a 2 days program, or it might be of a longer duration like a 2 months or a 6 months training program. Whereas development is a long term process. It is not that development will take place in 2 weeks or a 2 months program. So, development is a long term process. Secondly, training utilizes a systematic and organized procedure by which the non-managerial personnel learn technical knowledge and skills for a definitive purpose. So, here you can find some key words that need to be understood clearly. That first of all, it is a systematic and organized procedure, number one. Number two, it is applicable for non-managerial people. And number three, it has a definitive purpose. So, the definitive purpose is to impart knowledge and skills. Whereas, if we talk about development, development utilizes a systematic and organized procedure by which managerial personnel learn. So, in training it was for non-managerial personnel, but development, as I stated earlier also, it is for managers and executives. They learn personnel They learn the conceptual and theoretical knowledge for the general purpose. So, it is not based on teaching or explaining certain skills, but the knowledge is for general purpose. Next, it helps individuals to learn how to perform his present job in a satisfactory manner. So, training is generally imparted to individuals so that they can perform their current job in a satisfactory or in an efficient manner. Whereas, development being a long-term process and mainly used by the managerial personnel, here the individuals are prepared for the future jobs and growth in all aspects. The next point of difference is that training is a reactive process, whereas development is a proactive process. Now, what is the difference between being a reactive process and being a proactive process? Well, being reactive means that anything happens and then we react to it. For example, there are technological advancements or a certain software is updated. Now, we have to react to that change, and for that change we will be reacting in the way that we will be training our employees so that they can use that software. Whereas development is a proactive process. So, just before that any change occurs, we are proactive. So, even before any change happens, we have anticipated that change well beforehand and we have started the development of our people. So, that is a very major difference between training being a reactive process and development being a proactive process. Also, training is the result of initiatives taken by management and it is a result of some outside motivation. And development, on the other hand, it is mostly the result of internal motivation. So, for training, the motivation comes from outside because the management of the organizations, especially the human resource management departments, they take the initiative of training their employees. But for development, the motivation can come from within also. Now, let us learn as to what are the objectives of the training and development programs. So, friends, the first and foremost objective of any training and development is preparing for the upcoming challenges. So, we all know that organizations operate in an environment and environment is ever changing and dynamic, and there are number of challenges, there can be threats, there can be opportunities in the environment. Now, how does the organization upskill itself? It will do so with the help of training. So, training can be a preemptive step to train employees for expected as well as unexpected changes in the industry. And in current times, when trends change at the blink of an eye, keeping our teams prepared is a great initiative, and this preparedness comes from training. So, when people are trained, they are also prepared to face the challenges. The second objective is lowering employee turnover. So, training is one of the best ways to value your employees, because training shows the employees that the organization is as invested in their well-being and growth as they are in the growth of the organization. So, organizations value their people when they train their people, and this is a very clear message to the people that the organization values their contribution and the organization wants their people to be working efficiently without any doubt or without having any kind of hesitation to upskill them. So, through training, organizations give this message to their people that they are investing in their people. So, employees who are looked after will never want to look elsewhere. So, that will have employee an impact on their retention levels, and employees will not leave the organization because they feel valued when they are trained. The next objective of training and development is fostering future leadership. So, there is no better way to create future leaders than to train the best bunch. This will also lead to a clear career path for employees, preventing attrition and dissatisfaction. So, this is specifically very important as far as generating future leaders is concerned, or the succession planning is concerned, because we all know that once the person who is at the top management has to retire, or he might be leaving the organization. So, who is next in line? So, with the help of training and development, you can clearly define, or you can identify who your potential leaders can be, and then you can train them and develop them in a holistic manner so that they can take up these future leadership roles without wasting any further moment. The next objective is obviously organizational growth. Every company wants to be more productive, every company wants to achieve growth, and any company dedicated to training its workforce will only prosper and move forward. And all these things have been proven through research also, that organizations that invest in the training and development of their employees, they are forward moving and they show exponential growths. Also because that employees are a major part of a company's assets, and taking care of them will mean that taking care of organization. So, if you are taking care of the people will further take care of the organization. So, it is more of a give and take kind of a thing, and training and development leads to organizational growth. Now, the next important question that comes to our mind is when to impart training. So, when do you think an organization should train their employees? So, the first point in this category is new candidates who joins an organization or familiarize them with organizational mission, vision, rules, regulations and the working conditions. So, the first set of people or the first category of people who need training is the new candidates who join the organization. Now, they need to be familiarized with the organization's mission, they need to be familiarized with the vision, the rules, the set of policies, HR policies, leave vacancies, regulations, working conditions. So, all these we can say knowledge, all this knowledge is imparted to the new candidate through a training program. So, the first category of people who need training are the new candidates. The second is the existing employees. Now, the employees who are already working in the organization from the past say 2 or 3 years, but they also need training. Why? Because they need to be refreshed and their knowledge needs to be enhanced. Because of technological advancements, they need to cope up with those changes. So, that is why they need training. Also, the third category of employees who need training is when they are promoted. So, when promotion and career growth becomes important, so that employees are prepared for the higher level job. So, every higher level job or every promotion means that you will be performing a newer set of jobs, maybe which are different for what you were performing earlier. So, for that new set of tasks or new job role, you need training. So, these are the, we can say, 3 categories of people who are to be trained. So, the next thing is that what is the need for training or who all need training, as I said. So, learning for new recruits, then promotions and transfers, of course, if you are transferred to another department. So, that new department, again you need to be trained as you will be doing newer jobs, and also bridging the gap between what is and what we need to be, because the environment is changing, the scenarios are changing, the expectations of people are changing. So, through training we can bridge the gap between what is and what has to be. So, moving further, training and development is required when the company revises its objectives and goals to adjust to the changing market conditions. As I already said that the market conditions or the environment is ever changing, and due to these changes many a times the organizations also change their own culture, or they might change their objectives or goals, as we have seen it during the COVID pandemic time. Due to the changes in the regulations and governmental policies, many companies who were not giving work from home option to their employees, but due to COVID pandemic they used that to at least move the company forward or to keep the working at least. So, there also the employees were trained on how to use computer, how to use the internet, how to work from remote. So, that was a very good and a very clear example as to how the changing conditions in the environment, they cause people to change and to learn new things. Then it also improves the performance of employees. Certainly, if certain new things are there, new softwares are there, and if I am not equipped to use that software, I will not be performing in a positive manner, or my performance will be hampered. But if I am trained on how to use this particular software or this particular equipment, then my performance will enhance. Then it is also needed to set up a benchmark of performance which employees are expected to achieve in a financial year. So, every organization has its own targets that need to be achieved. So, with training it is easier to identify those benchmarks and easier to achieve those benchmarks. Then it is also needed to teach employee the new skills such as team management, communication management and leadership behaviors. So, there are certain soft skills that the employees need to work on, because every employee that we hire, they are hired mainly for their technical skills or their what we call is their hard skills, that is their qualification. But once you have started working, to grow further you need soft skills like communication, like relationship building, like time management, team management, how you deal with stress. So, all these skills need to be learnt so that you can move step by step to the higher levels and you can move up the hierarchy. So, these skills can be taught to every employee. And then the need is that to test new methods of enhancing organizational productivity. Now, coming to the next topic, it is the importance of training and development. Now, this importance of training and development in human resource management, it is divided into three broad parts. So, what is the importance of training to the organization? What is the importance for the employees? And what is its importance in the personal and human relations? Now, moving further, let us first understand that why is training and development is important for the organization. Well, organization facilitates better utilization of an organization's resources, that is their men, machine, material and money, and it also ensures less wastage with respect to resources and time, because when you are trained, you know how to optimally use all the resources. So, certainly with training it ensures less wastage, and when a worker is skilled and trained enough, the amount of wastage will be less, as well as the learning time will also be reduced. Also, it creates an appropriate climate for growth and communication and helps the employees adjust to change. So, this is very important as far as the organization's benefits are concerned, because when employees are trained, they are more adaptable and they can clearly understand the need to change, and it develops a positive attitude in employees towards work and organization, as well as it also boosts their morale, which helps them adapt themselves to the changing environment. It improves the performance of employee, resulting in increased profitability of the organization. So friends, up till now we learnt about what is training and development and what is the basic difference between these two terms. Training is different from development. What are the need, why we need to train employees, and moving further we will continue with some other topics on training and development. Thank you.